Time now for the Maggie Paschal Show. Here's your host, Maggie Paschal.
Hello there, and welcome to the Maggie Paschal Show. Glad you could join us.
Good to be here, Maggie.
And yes, and this is going to be playing on Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including you.
Yes.
You have something special planned?
My two boys, my wife, just having Dad's Day. That's all we need.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are on tonight with Dan Stiff, who wrote Sell the Brand First, How to Sell Your Brand and Create Lasting Customer Loyalty. And this is one, Dan, that people do take an interest in because everyone wants their business to do well. And it is a time where some people are struggling.
That's right.
And there's some concern about the economy, but building confidence is what we need to do.
Absolutely.
And that in itself will help the economy.
Yep. Absolutely. And brands don't go away when the economy gets tough. Matter of fact, brands probably have more impact when the economy gets tough.
That's right.
So
we're going to talk about what draws people to products and how, and there's the emotional base, there's the logic, which doesn't play into it quite as much.
Right.
And we're going to talk about why that happens and why that's true. But let's talk about how you first began doing this and some of the clients you have and what you do.
Sure. Well, I'd like to say I got smart real quick on this, but I kind of fell into it. I'm actually from Baltimore, and two of the companies that I worked with were Black & Decker and DeWalt. And Black & Decker and DeWalt have had great brands for years. The challenge has been helping users and customers be personalized with that brand. So I had 15 years of corporate experience with Black & Decker DeWalt, and I also had prior experience selling cash registers and computers with NCR Corporation. So along the way, you just experience business life. And when you do that, what tends to happen is you tend to start understanding how you're different as a company and as a brand, not just a logo, but a whole brand representation, and how people experience your brand differently and personalize with it. And it's not always logical. You might take Volvo, for instance. Volvo, most people associate with safety.
Yes.
Now, is that logical or emotional?
I hope it's logical.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the commercials where they had something on top of it, or they had some dramatic commercials. Now, are they safety first?
Well, that's what they purported to be, and they built their cars that way. And if you talk to a Volvo user that's ever been in an accident, they'll tell you, hey, this was what saved my life, and I would swear by this car to anybody else.
Good.
But they also were the first people to claim it. And I call that first mover advantage. They're the first people to say, we're safest, buy us because of that. Now, you mentioned it's Father's Day coming up. If I'm a dad and I want to keep my young kids safe, then I'm going to want a safe car, and I want a car that has a reputation for that in case we get in an accident. That's a logical decision for me, but it's also a very emotional decision.
Yes, and they've appealed to the notion of safety, which is a strong one.
Absolutely. So that's where it starts.
And I'm curious about how that's going to be affecting with the gas prices as they are. I still like having a safe car.
Right.
Whether that makes me unpopular or not. And I guess there can be some judgment. It can become emotional for people right now because of gas. Like, how can you be having a large car or an SUV or a Land Rover or something when we have to conserve on gas? So I wonder what that's going to be doing, because I already know some things have gone down. The BMW values and some of these other cars have gone way down.
Yeah. Well, the car industry is obviously a big branded industry. I actually do some exercises in the workshops I put on around automobiles, because every one of us can relate with an automobile. Whether I'm a Jaguar person, a Ford guy, I love safety and Volvo. We all have our reasons we choose those things. And so I think the challenge right now for people is, yes, they have to be conservative. It's logical to drive a car that's either a hybrid now or that has a better gas mileage. So why are we still in Escalades and Monteros and big SUVs? Some of that, I believe, is still brand. I believe there's some people that, whether it's soccer moms that are taking their kids all over, or it's dads that are, a baseball coach and they got to throw all their equipment and gear into the back. Some of that is utilitarian, which is really logical. So I don't think SUVs are going to quit selling because the gas price went up. I think most people view the gas price as clearly a short-term issue when our economy comes back and when we find other alternatives.
I'd love to hear that.
I'd like to look at it that way, because all you hear right now is bad news about it.
Cover of Newsweek, the articles in there this past week were that it's going to swing up. There were a few articles saying it's going to take a swing up, and that's what we hope for. I think the bottom line right now is it's just hard to sell a car like that for as much money as you could.
Right. Now, there are other choices that get better mileage. You know,
Absolutely.
And for $40,000, what would I rather choose? You know.